I've got a great article today. Psilocybin use initiates hyperconnectivity in the brain linked to ego-modifying effects. Study shows that the use of psilocybin, compound found in the widely known magic mushrooms, initiates a pattern of hyperconnectivity in the brain linked to ego-modifying effects and feelings of oceanic boundlessness. Findings appearing in Biological Psychiatry, published by Elsevier, help explain the so-called mystical experiences people report during the use of psychedelics are pertinent to the psychotherapeutic applications of psychedelic drugs to treat certain disorders such as depression. They're also just kind of interesting in general for people who don't need a therapist. The concept of oceanic boundlessness refers to a sense of unity, blissfulness, insightfulness, and spiritual experience often associated with psychedelic sessions. One of the first brain imaging studies in psychedelic research, investigators found a specific association between the experiential psychedelic state and whole brain dynamic connectivity. Our previous research had shown increases in static global brain connectivity. This is the first that shows this state of hyperconnectivity is dynamic, which means changing and evolving over time. It coincides with a feeling, again, of boundlessness. This is a hallmark dimension of really good psychedelic trips. Lead investigator Johannes G. Ramaker's PhD, Department of Neuropsychology and Psychopharmacology, Faculty of Psychology and Neuroscience at Maastricht University, boy, he's got a title, says psilocybin has been one of the most studied psychedelics, possibly due to its potential contribution in treating different disorders, such as obsessive-compulsive disorder, death-related anxiety, depression, treatment-resistant depression, major depressive disorder, terminal cancer-associated anxiety, paralyzation, smoking, alcohol, and tobacco addiction. What was not fully understood is what brain activity associated with these profound experiences. Psilocybin generates profound alterations both at the brain and the experiential level. The brain's tendency to enter a hyper-connected, hyper-arousal pattern under this chemical represents the potential to entertain variant mental perspectives. Findings of the new study illuminate the intricate interplay between brain dynamics, subjective experience, providing insights into the neurophysiology and neuroexperiential qualities of psychedelic state. Taken together, average and dynamic connectivity analysis suggests that psilocybin alters brain function such that the overall neurobiological pattern becomes functionally more connected, more fluid, and less modular or compartmentalized. So what they're saying here, you guys, is that a lot of what is happening in the psychedelic experiences, particularly with magic mushrooms, is your brain is becoming more connected, and the increase in connectivity allows you to de-pattern and kind of get out of some grooves that you have made, because what you actually end up doing is making grooves like in a record with chemical pathways. It's like ants lay down chemical pheromones and follow those trails. So one of the things these psychedelics is doing is it's allowing you to de-pattern, to see larger holistic relationships. I think this is just great science and great story. It is kind of shining a light into what's going on in these states and how they're helping people, and I'm really interested in what you all have to St. Germain on a Friday for the High at 9 News. Take it away, guys.
Dr. T, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this.
Well, I love this study, and it's exactly what we're doing. We're just looking at cannabis rather than psilocybin. But those words of oceanic boundlessness are exactly the words that we're asking people out their experience and be able to measure it and scale.
Interesting. This is super, super, super interesting. I mean, and I'm just envisioning, your brain, your neural pathways, and like you said, Matthew, like how ants, they'll start going and do you remember like those little toys in the 80s, the ants farms, and you could see them like build all the little trails and whatnot, or how they're going to move through the whole little thing. And so I'm just imagining all these different neural pathways and them opening, and all of a sudden you learning to do new things, be able to cope with things better or whatnot. This is super, super powerful. And I'm willing to bet that a lot of neurologists have no clue about this.
It's just being discovered. One of the things that Paul Stamets has been pointing to, slightly different, but just showing more, neural activity, and neural upregulation is there's a tapping test. And what they did is they did a test where you have to tap your fingers and they see how many times you can do it in a certain amount of time. And they did this with senior citizens. And after giving them the Stamets stack, which is a microdose of cubensis mushrooms, some lion's mane mushroom mycelium, and some niacin, vitamin B3, they were able to go 1.5 to almost double the time tapping. And what this was showing was that there was a faster signal response in their brains. So there's a vast array of different things that we're seeing, these different accelerations and hyperconnective traits of these psychedelics that are helping humans, for sure. I don't know, who here has ever taken a good dose and then tried to do something that maybe they already have practiced a little bit. And I find that's where you really actually get a lot of acceleration, is not doing even something brand new. Oftentimes, like if you play music, I was playing music on New Year's a year ago or so, and high, and decided to try to play drums, which I don't normally do. I play bass and sing, and you can do both. And a lot of times what these psychedelics will do is they'll kind of just open up states, and they'll show us little glimpses of greater potential that we have and who we can be. Then as we come down, then we need to work in our daily life to execute our disciplines and hone those skill sets to get to that moment that we saw. Or something, man.
Fascinating.
Do a lot of drugs.
Fascinating stuff.
And you do that good. I don't know if I can do it as good as you.
What's that, Dr. T?
He's a great tapper.
Oh, man. Are they doing just like this? Is it with both hands, just one hand, or?
It's just index finger, thumb, and I think it's either 30 seconds or 90 seconds. And
they're counting how many times you can do it within that time period.
Yes, sir.
Be working.
Interesting.
And so the Stamets stack, again, it's a 1/10 of a gram of psilocybin, 1/10 of a gram of lion's mane mycelium, and a couple hundred, I think 400 milligrams of niacin. The niacin highlights your all of your blood vessels and your capillaries, pushing in the active ingredients in the mushrooms, the inner recesses of your brain, of your brain.